Hello and welcome to the Daily Ramble here on Claret and Booze. My name's Gary. We've got a few things to go through today. Firstly, a really lovely video that was recorded by Craig Bellamy. I want to talk about some of his comments. I also want to cover, don't want to do a Wolves review, that's been done to death, but I want to talk about lessons learned from Wolves, and I think there are quite a few of them. And then thirdly, I want to talk about Antonio versus Scamacca. Is there a time and a place for each of those players? Or is it a case of, whoever's playing well and whoever's scoring stays in the side? I want to do an Antonio versus Scamacca evaluation at the end. So look, give this video a watch, and if you like it, please subscribe to our channel, Claret and Booze, hit the bell notification icon, and please give us a like. It helps us a lot. So on with the first story. Firstly, Craig Bellamy. So Craig Bellamy, he was one of my favourites when he was at West Ham. I must admit, I loved him. I loved his ferocity, but not only ferocity, it's his quality as well. Very high quality player. Had played for Liverpool and Celtic, and genuinely a top Premier League player. Great finisher. Now, he's come out with something I didn't really expect him to for some reason. And I'd met Craig Bellamy once, and he was a nice enough bloke. But I always had him as a bit of a, how can I say, a bit of an introverted character, maybe had his own thoughts. But no, he came across brilliantly in this video. He said his time at West Ham was fantastic. He said the humour around the place, even with the older players from the 50s and 60s, was fantastic. They used to pop in to get their lunch in at Chapel Heath. And also the humour of the fans was amazing as well. It's something you kind of expect him to say. But what I didn't expect him to say was West Ham has the most knowledgeable fans he's ever played for. He said you could not kid them. And what he meant by that was they expect you to have a go, but they also expect you to be good on the ball, like he was. And I think if you go back to, for instance, one of our hardest and nuttiest players has been Julian Dix. But on the flip side, as well as having that streak to him, he was also an absolutely fantastic player, Julian Dix, wasn't he? Technically brilliant, which is why he got the move to Liverpool in the first place, right? A top player, and that is the same for Bellamy, like I say. And he also said, what do you play like when the chips are down? The crowd expects you to have a go and look for the ball. You can't go hiding. And he also said, he followed all this up by saying, once you've played for them, West Ham, he said you don't leave. It grips you. You kind of get it and you realise what it's all about. And I thought that was absolutely fantastic. He went on to say he didn't want to leave. Well, Craig, we didn't want you to leave either, mate. It was a terrible time. I think you had a bit of unfinished business at West Ham, to be honest. But it's fantastic though to hear that a player, who I rated personally, and probably a lot of you did, so highly, to come back and say such nice things about the club. He could have said all sorts of other stuff, I would imagine. But yeah, he kept it positive. So moving on to the next subject. So talking about Wolves. Now, like I said earlier, I don't want to do a Wolves review because that's been done already, but there was a number of different things that we could take out of that Wolves game. A lot of very nice things, a lot of positives. So I'll talk about this after, but Scamacca clearly looks very good. And we'll come to him versus Antonio after we've done this part. But Kera, he is an established player, isn't he? Established defender who can play, clearly can play at right back or right wing back. He's better than Soufal at the moment. I think you'd be hard pressed to find someone who disagreed with that. Also because he's good. Bowen behind him looks good as well. He benefits from Kera taking care of the defensive side of the game. Souček, it looks like Souček can still offer something good. Now, whether it was the little chat that Moisey had with him that sorted his head out or what, I don't know. I don't really buy into that. I'm inclined to agree with Nick that when Souček is given a fixed job to do, he can get on and he can actually do it pretty well. And in the second, I think the first half was a bit funny because he kept finding him out on the right wing. being fed by Bowen. I thought that was a bit of an odd thing to do, but maybe there was a plan in there. I don't know, but he did look like some video I watched called him an awkward dinosaur. And that's exactly what he looked like trying to go down the wing. It wasn't great, but in the second half, he was brilliant. He was brilliant, so good. Wolves had a lot of the ball, and it was important that we didn't slip up. It was important that we defended. He was back there, being that extra defender, cutting out attacks, and being a destroyer, basically. And that is what I know. We remember him for his goals and everything else, but that is primarily what he brought into the team when he first joined us. The goals were a huge bonus, but he was a destroyer, and it'd be nice to have that Souček back again, wouldn't it? Maybe he is back. It was also fantastic to see the Dawson and Zuma relationship rekindled, especially watching the way Dawson dealt with Traore, which was just textbook stuff. I mean, it was, especially that first one, because there was 3 different instances where he's completely, he completely made Traore look stupid. But the one where he tried to run past him on the wing, and Dawson just didn't go for the little fade. He didn't buy it. He just literally went in. His original intent was go in there and block the ball. He continued to go in there and block the ball. And Traore just didn't know what to do. Stopped him dead. Have some of that. Where you going, mate? You ain't going anywhere. Brilliant to see Dawson back. He's comically good sometimes. I mean, he's great comedy value. It's good to have a sort of industrial defender like him in the side, because I do appreciate defenders like that, and I know a lot of people do as well. We still looked a bit weak on the left-hand side, if I'm being honest, with Cresswell. I think we can probably do better. I think later in the game, when Emerson came on, I think that was quite good. It shows you what a sort of a progressive wing back can do. That's pretty much the role that he played. I think Fornals is not really an attacking option. I think it was when Cornet was on, we were attacking a lot. When he went off and for Fornals, I think we kind of went back into our shell a bit. And then later on, when Emerson came on, I think we started to push forward again. I thought all in all, it was pretty good though. It was pretty good, good balance of counter attack. We were using our attacking players. They seem to be establishing partnerships, especially Scamacca and Bowen. They look really good together. Let's hope that one grows, because that could really reap rewards for us. And Antonio, I think he was a very good impact sub, and I think that kind of brings me on to my next story. I think they're all the lessons I learned from Wolves. If you learnt any different ones, let me know. But I want to talk for a bit about Antonio and Scamacca. So, look, it's pretty obvious to me anyway that what you've got with Scamacca, or what we've got with Scamacca, if you, he's 23 years old. He's 23 years old. He's an accomplished striker already. He scored lots of goals in Serie A, which is a very, very defensively strong league for quite a weak team. He's come into us. He's scored. This is his 4th goal that he scored the other day, albeit the others are in the European competitions. But the fact is, the guy's a goal scorer. The guy's got a natural eye for goal, and he does not think twice. Right? There's no second thought on his mind. There's no looking for someone else. When there's a chance for a shot at goal, he's going to shoot, right? Not only that, people have compared him with Harry Kane, and I think that's a fair comparison, because he comes deep, he links up play, spreads the ball. He's not happy to sit up front on the shoulder of a defender and wait for service. If he doesn't get service, he's going to go and look for service, right? That is what separates him, again, chalk and cheese, right? But from Haller, Haller didn't get any service. He got no one up to support him. We know that is how you have to play Haller. It wasn't necessarily Haller's fault, but that Haller just wasn't that kind of player to say, sod this, I'm not getting anything. I'm gonna go back and look for the ball and bring others into play. That is Scamacca. That was not Haller. Antonio, completely different player to Scamacca, and I think when we set up like we did against Wolves, that's setting up to accommodate Scamacca and play to his strengths. And when he's in the side, that is what we've got to do. It's very unsuitable, actually, to have Antonio on the pitch and then try to bring Scamacca on to replace him and expect him to do the same job as Antonio, because that is never going to work. But the other way round, it could work. So having Antonio on the bench as an impact sub in the Premier League, as long as Scamacca's playing well and firing, I think that is an absolutely fine solution. I don't want to insult Mickey, because Mickey's a great servant for us. He's got an absolutely brilliant record, our top Premier League goal scorer ever, and nobody works harder than Mickey, right? But I think we all know that he might be our highest Premier League scorer ever, but he's not a natural striker. He's scored some great goals, but he's not a natural striker. He's more of a wide player, and always has been, who's been turned into a sort of striker. So when you compare him with Scamacca, it's a bit of an unfair comparison, to be honest. You're talking a 33-year-old guy who really works hard, very unorthodox battering ram, versus someone who's 23 years old, 10 years younger, and extremely cultured, and he looks extremely good. The thing they've got in common is they both seem to like a bit of a tear-up. They both like the rough and tumble, and I'm really pleased that Scamacca's like that, because that's what I expected him to be like when we signed him. That's what all his references said he likes the rough side of the game. So look, what do you do? Leave me your views in the comments. But what would you do? I would personally be inclined to play Scamacca in Premier League games as the primary striker, except for perhaps, when we're playing one of the top sides, like, I don't know, a Man City, or I'm not going to say Liverpool, they're not really a top side at the moment, but a Man City or an Arsenal or someone like that. Would that be where we're going to set up to defend a bit more? Would that be the ideal chance to play Antonio, because he's the one that don't mind being up front on his own with hardly any support, and perhaps nick a goal out of nothing? But the rest of the time, for all the other games in the Premier League, stick with Scamacca and then bring Antonio on later. I don't know. I'm in two minds. I don't want to show disloyalty to Mickey, but I'm first and foremost, I'm a football supporter and a West Ham supporter, and I want what's best for West Ham. And I think what we can see there is a real talent emerging. Nowhere near the finished article yet, but we can see a talent slowly developing. And let's hope it develops to the full, because we're going to have one hell of a player on our hands if it does. Anyway, let me know in the comments what you think. That is me done. If you have enjoyed this video, please subscribe to our channel, Claret and Booze. Hit the bell notification icon and give us a like. It all helps. Meanwhile, Nick will be back with his daily ramble. I think I'll be back with another one later in the week as well. And until next time, thanks for joining. See you soon, and come on, you irons.